let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I struggled to make one of the easiest bags that probably exists. I was overthinking so much and I cut it forever ago that I kind of forgot what was happening. But I think it's so cute and I definitely want to make some more. I could see this being such a quick sew. I think the flap is super cute. Underneath there's the slip pocket. I feel like I needed more distance between these two so that you don't have to lift up the flap so much. I love the zipper on the flap. I think that's so handy for something you just kind of need and creates a fun division. Somehow I forgot a slip pocket on the back and then my pieces didn't quite line up, so that's on me. I love this strap on top with the connectors attached, and then there is a card slip pocket there, and this bag is finished with binding. It's honestly not as complicated as I made it, but I struggled through it, so if you don't want to watch me struggle through it, check out somebody else's video. Other than that, let's do the best we can making this bag. I have not made this pattern before, so I am just going to go in order of the directions given. So we are going to start out with the slip pockets, which are pieces D here. So I'm just going to sew these right sides together. This is the larger slip pocket, so I guess there's two sets. My flap closure. I think that's like my exterior bottom, flap closure. Okay. That's pretty much all I have in the way of a slip pocket. So hopefully that's correct. Yeah, because style A. Alright. So I'm going to sew these together at the top. I am using a cotton woven for my exterior and then a waterproof canvas for my lining. It's a pretty bold choice, I'd say, but I think it's going to be really cute. So we're going to fold that and top stitch. Editing Lauren here to let you know this is where I messed up. I was for some reason supposed to have two of these slip pockets. I only had the one, and the one I'm adding the magnetic snap to is incorrect because this one needs to go on the piece that we're adding our flap to, so it would go on the sectioned pieces. And we are doing style B, and so we need to add our magnetic snap. So I'm going to line that up. And mark where that goes. Yeah. And we're installing the innie portion, so the part with the magneticness. The part with the magnet. The other side really isn't magnetic. And then I'm going to back that with a little bit of fusible interfacing. And then I just like to use pinking shears when I do that in such a small section so that it doesn't look quite as, it's hard to describe it, but it's less obvious when you've got the pinking shear there. I am using an 18mm thin magnetic snap. The exterior fabric I'm using is not available for sale. It's one of my own designs that I use for business purposes, but the lining is one that I've had for sale in the past. Okay, and then we're going to base stitch the bottom sides of the slip pocket. Which I'm not actually worried about doing until I get it on the piece it needs to be attached to. So we're going to grab one of our exterior panels. Interesting. So it says I should have 2 slip pockets. Maybe I do. I'll have to check. I'll just see which one I like more. Girl. Don't do it. That ain't right. I think that looks good. So then I'll baste those layers together. This bag is finished with binding, so if you wanted to wait to add your lining, you could do that as well. There is options for a card slot, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to add that card slot. So yeah, I meant to baste this all together. That's my bad. There's one portion. So now we're going to work on the flap closure. So I'm going to grab my tiny little zipper and my tiny little zipper ends. I cut vinyl out for both of mine, and I probably, like both sides I should say, I probably should have cut out a thinner waterproof canvas, but this vinyl is releasing on March 15th. And it's actually a little bit thinner, more of a domestic weight vinyl, so I don't think my machine will have any issues with it. And this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're just going to repeat that on both sides. And then we'll open that up and top stitch. And there may be some overhang, but we can just trim off any excess. So cute. Alright, so now we're going to grab the flap closure bottom pieces, and we're likely going to need the lining and okay, exterior bottom, exterior top, flap closure top. This seems like a pattern that goes pretty quick once you get started. I'm pretty excited. So here's my flap closure bottom. So we're just going to center that. Right sides together, and then we'll grab our lining and lay that in place. And then if you needed to, you could tape your zipper into place, or you could baste. And I'm going to start this way where my zipper pull isn't. I can also see a little bit easier if my zipper is even or not. And then as I'm getting close to the zipper pull, I'm going to leave my needle in, unzip. There we go. And then we can open that up. And if our basting stitch wasn't even, we can kind of manipulate the layers so that it sits a little more even. And then we're going to top stitch through both layers. And then we're going to add the flap closure top. And just make sure if your print is directional that this is going the way you want it to go. Lining up those edges, you could baste this in place if you wanted to, or you can use double-sided tape. And unzip our zipper. All right, now that we've got that, we're going to grab one of the flap closure lining pieces and baste that into place, which is going to look weird, but that's so this has a finished lining that doesn't shift on us. And then I'm gonna take a minute to trim all of the excess. All those threads and the zipper. And just make it look nice and clean. All right, so now we're going to add the other half of the magnetic snap right there. I grab my washer to mark that out. A little bit more of our peel and stick interfacing. And I'm literally just using like scrap pieces of this that I would have otherwise maybe thrown away. So this is great to have on hand. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to put these right sides together. So you definitely don't want to over interface this section. And this is going to be a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So not huge, just enough. Okay, I'm going to use my pinking shears to trim up the curve. And then we're going to flip this and top stitch. Now see, if you hadn't basted the lining piece first, you wouldn't have a finished lining in this pocket. So why am I using my fingers when I have a tool for this? There it is. So make sure you press that, get it all situated nicely. Might have an issue top stitching by that magnet. I'm gonna try though. We'll zip that up at least halfway and top stitch. Definitely don't use vinyl for your zipper tabs. I don't know what I was thinking. But here we are. There is our cute little flap. We've got the exterior top and the exterior bottom. Oh, now you realize you messed up. Yeah. Yeah, you really did. Okay. Something has gone wrong. Okay, never mind. Pretend. Wait, why do I have 2 of these then? Okay. Well, I'm okay with that then. But then I'm short aligning. Boy, did I get confused. Great. So I have 2 of these linings. I have 1 exterior, and then I have 1 exterior that I'm going to be putting together. Okay. So these can be basted together. No problem. Yeah, that'll do. So why don't I have another slip pocket? Do I have another slip pocket? And I just don't know I have another slip pocket? Am I filming this? I think so. That's all my gusset stuff. Handle, gusset, gusset, zipper part. Okay. Handle. What are you? Something. Oh, you're the card pocket? We're going to go ahead and add our card pocket made of vinyl. And all you're going to do for that is fold it down and top stitch across that fold. And then we'll sew that into place on the lining. I'm going to add a little woven label. Right in between those layers. Because why not? And now, for some reason, I only have 1 slip pocket. So I don't know if maybe my pattern pieces are older. Oh well. So now this and the exterior can go right sides together. We will base that into place. Moving back to those steps. But like in the pattern, she has 2. But that's not what my understanding of the pattern pieces was. And then I'm just trimming up my edges so that everything looks nice. And then I'll go ahead and snip the centers because I imagine we'll need those later. And I will set that aside. And now we can get back to working on the flap. So I've got the bottom of that exterior underneath the slip pocket. Make sure you line up those edges. It creates a little bit of a 3D effect. I'm going to lay the flap into place. And we want to make sure the magnet is nice and tight, and then line that up. And we can grab the top of that flap there. And we're going to sew that into place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then we can flip that up and top stitch. Flipping it up didn't quite work for me and my seam allowances with the material, so in the future I would probably just fold it down and top stitch. I didn't find any benefit to flipping it up. Which, to me, that didn't really make sense. Because now it's pulling like that. I think for me, I would have top stitched that way. But that's because my magnet is like right at that spot. So I think I'm going to go ahead and top stitch it on this way. I've already done both. It's not going to hurt anybody. This bag is just a mess. For me. I am making a mess of this bag, I think is the best way to put it. Oy, oy, oy. Okay. So then we can baste these together. And I'm going to trim this so it's all nice and even. And then I will snip out those centers. Okay, and then we're coming up to the back style of A, which is not the one that I am doing. So now we can move on to handle style A and B. And set that aside. Nope, I don't need that. So here is my handle. I do really like the way the handle for this bag is created. I think that's a fun technique. Hopefully I can try this bag again sometime. Do it justice. I'm so sorry. Well, I hate to apologize. I don't know, I hate when people just apologize. Okay, just hold the strap, shall we? Alright, so we're going to top stitch this at 1/4 inch. Okay. So not 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch. here is the zipper panel. So I'm gonna grab, okay, I knew I should have cut that longer. I cut it to exactly 12, but I think I could have cut it wider for my preference because I like my zipper pull just completely out of the way. I am just doing a single zipper pull at right now. So we've added the exterior, the zipper, and the lining. And I am going to flip this over and start from this side. And then lift my needle up and bring my zipper in. And then be careful that you don't unzip that all the way because we're not adding anything to it yet. So we're going to fold that, press it, and then base stitch at an 1/8 of an inch. So now it says to top stitch the handle on through the lining and the exterior, but I think what I'm gonna do is move the lining out of the way. I don't know that it really matters, but I don't really want to see that on that side. So we're gonna make a mark at 3 1/8 of an inch in. I'm going to use double-sided tape. I'll use 1/4 inch. And we want to flip ahead to style B. Okay, that's on me. All right, so we want to measure 1 inch. And then 3/4 of an inch from there. But that 3 1/8 inch still counts. And now we need our D-rings. Which should be 1 inch, not 3/4. I'm just nailing it today. All right, so I'm going to add my hardware in between this section here. So I don't normally like my double-sided tape. Touching the hardware, but it is what it is. I guess 1 inch from either edge looks right. I don't know that it explicitly says, but I am stupid. All right, So I'm just going to start with one. No, I need to get both sides so that I know it's on there straight. It's such a cute handle though. All right, so for this, we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge and pivot. Okay, there's that part. And then we'll top stitch this little area here. Okay, so that side is complete. I'm not going to worry about adding a rivet, but I think it's a cute idea. Alright, handle is attached. I can fold that back in place, and then I will baste this side together. And then we're going to grab the other end of our gusset. That's my strap. I'm probably not... Oh, I had already grabbed my zipper pulls. I love that for me. Oh, well, I can add a second one on here. Here we go. Much better. Alright, so now we're going to add the other end. And this is also a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So all of our edges, including the zipper, should meet the width of the bottom half of the gusset. We'll lay that right sides together. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Exteriors touching. Linings touching. And repeat that on the other side. And then we're going to flip this and top stitch. So I'm actually just going to top stitch through that seam, but not through my lining. Here we go. And then baste all of those layers together. So I'm clipping in place in the center, and then I'm just rolling it to clip further. I'm just going to do the smallest little based stitch along the edge with the zipper, because we're going to be adding binding along the edge with the zipper, so we don't have a lot of wiggle room. So I want that edge to be nice and clean, and then we can continue on this side. And then I'll clean up these edges. Looks good. And then I'm going to snip the center on the gusset side with all fabric. And then I'm going to snip the center of the bottom with the side with the zipper. And the side with the zipper, I'm only going to mark it out with a pen. I don't want to snip into that zipper. It doesn't usually work out. Okay. So then we're going to start with the zipper side of the gusset on the side without the flap. Make sure that your pocket is facing up. So we're going to do right sides together this way. Starting with my zipper. I'm going to unzip the zipper to make it a little more flexible. And this is where you would want to use either double-sided tape to help you hold everything in place, or bigger clips. The little hair clips aren't going to hold what we need into place. If you need to help with the curves, you can snip into your gusset fabric a little bit. All right, I'm gonna move this up just a little bit. You can see that my zipper is kind of struggling with where it wants to be. So I'm gonna start right here. We're gonna use a very small seam allowance. I'm gonna use my screwdriver to help me line this up. So you definitely don't want to like over interface this. It's going to be really difficult to clip in place. And then as you can see, I'm just using the tip of the screwdriver to like pull on the tape, which saves my hands, and hold it in place. There we go. So it's possible my seam allowances were a little off somewhere. Maybe I did like 3/8 instead of 1/4 when I attached that gusset, just out of familiarity, but looks like it'll be okay. I say okay like that because it won't be great. It'll just be okay. So now this section gets finished with binding. So I'm gonna grab some of my canvas or my nylon binding. This is available on my website, and I hope to continue to carry it if we get positive feedback. So I'm just hitting that raw edge with a lighter. It is finished all the way around otherwise. And then measuring, and then you can just cut it just a little bit bigger, and then that cut edge, hit it with a lighter. Okay, and then I'm going to use double-sided tape all the way around, all the way along this piece. And the double-sided tape I'm using is a little bit, it's not my favorite for this method. It is very sticky, which is good, but it can gum up a needle. You could definitely wait until you're all the way finished with the bag before you add the binding, but I just kind of like to do it as I go. And then on that corner, all we're gonna do is like pinch around it into place. And so using that double-sided tape means you're not depending on the clips to hold it perfectly in place. But if you need to, you can always fold this in half to get a good crease for where the center is, and then fold it over the edge. And then right here on the zipper, again, we don't have a ton of wiggle room. So I'm just pinching it around the edge. You could, of course, use, you know, traditional bias tape. But I like how much easier this is. And like you can see, it has a good amount of structure, but it's also not taking a lot for me to press this down. And the edge of this won't fray. So we're just covering up that ugly raw edge. And then if you wanted to make it a super clean binding, you could kind of sew them together at a diagonal, kind of like with quilts. You could do that. But I'm just going to fold over this raw edge after I overlap the other raw edge. So right here, I'm just going to fold that under and then fold this to where they meet. And like sometimes with waterproof canvas where you've folded that over and over and over, it's way too thick. But with this material, it's not. It's really thin and flexible and doesn't get bulky. All right, so then I'm going to sew all of this into place. Just as close to the edge as possible. And then what I like to do is use my screwdriver to help me hold all those layers as I go. So that nothing shifts. And then around the zipper, we want to sew really close to that top edge so that our zipper can't get caught within the binding. There's that side. It's looking mediocre. You can see I've got plenty of clearance. My zipper's not going to get caught around there, so that's very good. And now we can add the other side with the flap. Alright, so now we're going to attach this side. I wonder if it's better to like clip it in the round to make it fit versus on the gusset side. I would say probably, yeah. Okay. I had a piece of chocolate and now I feel better. I was getting really frustrated. I was like, well, this is not working out well, is it? I cut this out like a month and a half ago. Maybe more. I don't know. And I'm like, I just want to finish it. Okay, yeah, that helped. So there's not a ton of room, or clearance, I should say, with that flap. So just be mindful of that. Staples may have helped me, but that's okay. I love the size of this though. I definitely hope to make more and give it a second chance because it's super cute. I think just initially there's so many options and that can be really confusing. Okay, so as we're sewing in the round, I'm just going to use my screwdriver to help me keep those pieces into place. And I'm really thrilled with this vinyl. It's definitely one of our mid-weight vinyls. So it's still industrial friendly and still domestic friendly, but has that luxe backing. Okay, I'm so sorry about my head, but I just gotta get this oriented. Okay, there we go. Alright, so luckily I can clean up my seam allowance when I add the binding. Just double check that we caught all of the layers. Everything feels good. Yep. And then once again, I'll just grab my binding. You could also cut two pieces when you have it out initially, which is what I should have done. So this time we're going to clip it and wrap this in the round instead of laying it flat. And I'm pushing down and then pinching around the seam. And then I'm just adding clips to help secure it until I can sew it. So pressing down and pinching. And then I've got quite a bit of overhang, so I'm just gonna quickly cut that off and then fold this over. Okay. And then attach it. Alright, so I am not going to worry about adding the crossbody strap to this in this video, but here it is all finished. I'm just turning this. I definitely want to try to make this again. I would make some changes to the flap and the way I added it, but I really love the handle on the gusset. I think that's super cute. And you can see sewing in the round definitely gave this a better shape than this side. You can see the gusset issues there. And I do kind of worry about the binding, like where does it sit so that it isn't in the way of the zipper, you know what I mean? So I'm almost tempted to kind of cut the gusset a little bit differently. So that it's away from the zipper. Another thought I had is to attach the front to the zipper first and then top stitch only where the zipper is on that front panel. And I think it won't look as weird with a slip pocket, because then you could just go from the top of the slip pocket to the other top of the slip pocket, and I think that would help keeping your zipper in place. Sewing through the binding wouldn't be super thick if you're using a binding instead of like a waterproof canvas binding that's super bulky. Or you could even top stitch that down before you sew the other side, because I don't think it's bad to have the zipper on the seam necessarily. Okay, well, it's cuter than I thought it was going to look with how much I struggled. I love the handle so, so much. I think that's the cutest part. I had some issue with the flap thickness on the zipper tabs, but that was me. I don't think it needed to be top stitched underneath, but everything sits nicely, so that's good. And then for some reason I forgot a slip pocket on this side, but I don't think it was in the cut list. It said A or B, not both. So that's my bad, but definitely would have loved having a slip pocket there, and it's not like it takes much effort to do it. So yeah, that was me struggling to make a very simple bag and such a cute little pattern. I hope to remake this video someday, but until then, it is what it is. Definitely watch the tutorial that comes with the pattern. I know Saya has done a video for this bag, and it's so cute. It deserves more love than I was able to give it. And I will see you all later. Goodbye.